Daniel adjusted his backpack as he stepped off the shuttle. The air on Relos Prime was warm and dry, with a faint blue mist rising from the ancient valleys. This planet had once been the center of a powerful alien civilization, the Valari, but now most of it lay in ruins. He was part of a mixed exploration team sent by the United Planetary Council. Daniel was a young human engineer, good with machines and old tech. This was his first time on a world so far from Earth, and he could already tell it wasn't going to be a normal mission. Around him, tall silver towers stood half buried in the sand, wrapped in strange glowing vines. The Valari structures had no sharp edges. Everything looked smooth, curved, and alive, almost like they were grown, not built. He walked toward the main camp where a few other researchers were setting up tents and scanners. Valari guides stood nearby, watching them quietly. Daniel noticed one of them, a woman with blue-tinted skin and long white hair, staring at a high cliffside above the ruins. Her face looked calm but serious. "Who's that?" Daniel asked one of the other humans. "That's Nira, daughter of the warrior Myra. She's one of the keepers of the graves." Graves? Daniel frowned. The researcher nodded. "Yeah, the cliff up there, that's where the tomb of the first guardian is. Don't go near it. It's sacred to the Valari. Big taboo." Daniel made a note in his mind. He wasn't looking for trouble. He just wanted to fix old machines and maybe learn something new. But something about that cliff caught his attention. The scanners had picked up an unknown energy signal from somewhere near it. Later that evening, while most of the crew rested in camp, Daniel stayed awake, adjusting his tools. He couldn't stop thinking about the signal. His engineering mind was curious. The Valari had built things no one on Earth could even understand. What if the signal was coming from something valuable? Or lost? Against better judgment, Daniel picked up his scanner and quietly followed the trail toward the cliff. The path was steep and covered with moss. Strange birds chirped in the distance. The signal grew stronger with each step. At the top, Daniel found a stone doorway hidden behind thick vines. He hesitated. This must be at the tomb of the first guardian. He knew he shouldn't be here, but his curiosity pushed him forward. Inside, the tomb was dimly lit by soft, glowing walls. Ancient carvings lined the hall, showing scenes of battles, of peace, and of a tall warrior holding a long silver spear. At the center of the chamber was a stone platform. Upon it rested a spear wrapped in glowing vines, stuck deep in the stone like it had been there for centuries. The signal was coming from it. Daniel stepped closer. The spear pulsed with a soft blue light, as if alive. He reached out, unsure why. The moment his fingers touched the shaft, the vines pulled back, and the ground trembled. Without warning, a force pulled him forward, and his hand closed tightly. Round the spear in one smooth motion. He lifted it from the stone. A loud hum filled the tomb. Energy swirled around him. The walls glowed brighter, and a soft voice whispered in a language he didn't understand. Then darkness. When Daniel woke, he was lying outside the tomb. Stars twinkled above, and dawn was just beginning to color the sky. The spear was still in his hand, now cool and quiet. But he wasn't alone. Nira stood a few steps away, her white hair blowing in the breeze. Her golden eyes were wide with shock and something else, disbelief. "You," she said softly, "you pulled the spear of Myra from her grave." Daniel slowly sat up. "I didn't mean to. I was following a signal. I didn't know." Nira raised a hand. "This is not something done by mistake. That spear has slept for 100 years. It is bound to my blood. Only one with the right spirit could awaken it." Daniel frowned. Still dizzy. "I don't understand." She took a step closer. Her expression changed from shock to something more serious. "In Valari law, whoever lifts the sacred spear from the tomb is spirit bonded to the next of kin." Daniel blinked. "Wait, what does that mean?" Nira's voice was calm but firm. "It means, by our oldest tradition, you are now my husband." Daniel's jaw dropped. He looked down at the spear, then at Nira. He had come here looking for ancient tech and answers. Now he had found a living legend, a strange new culture, and apparently a wife. He didn't even know what to say. But deep inside, something told him this was only the beginning. Daniel sat on a smooth white bench inside the Valari Council Hall. The spear rested across his lap. Wrapped in a soft cloth, round him, glowing crystals floated above silver pillars. Lighting the large round chamber, 7 tall Valari elders stood in a circle, watching him with unreadable eyes. Nira stood beside him, her hands behind her back. She looked calm on the outside, but Daniel could feel tension in the air between them. One of the elders, an older Valari with golden patterns on his skin, stepped forward. "You removed the spear of Myra from the sacred grave," he said in a deep, calm voice. "Do you understand what that means to our people?" Daniel looked up slowly. "I didn't mean to disrespect your traditions. I found a strange energy signal and followed it. I thought it was part of the ruins." Another elder, a woman with green markings, spoke. "It is not a ruin. It is a sacred resting place. The energy you followed was left by the Guardian's will. Only one chosen by her spirit can awaken the spear." Daniel lowered his head. "I didn't know." "You didn't?" "No," the first elder repeated. "But you did it, and Valari law is clear. The one who lifts the spear is spirit-bound to the heir of the Guardian." Daniel glanced at Nira. She was standing straight, her face calm, but her eyes were sharp and distant. "So, we're really married?" he asked carefully. Nira replied, without turning to him, "Our bond is called a life right. It is not based on love, but on legacy. You have claimed the spear. That makes you my life mate." Daniel felt like the room was spinning. "I'm just an engineer from Earth," he muttered. "I came here to study tech, not to marry into an alien legacy." The elder looked at him seriously. "You have already stepped into our legacy, and now the eyes of both our peoples are watching. To refuse the right would cause great dishonor, not just to Nira, but to the memory of her mother." Daniel's thoughts raced. He didn't want to offend these people, especially Nira. He had seen the power in the tomb. This bond was no joke. But was he ready to accept a title he didn't even understand? Nira finally spoke. "I accept the life right, for the honor of my mother. But let it be clear I do not expect loyalty or love from a stranger. You may walk beside me as tradition requires, but not as anything more." Daniel slowly nodded. "Then, I accept the life right, at least for now." The council gave a low hum, a sign of agreement. One by one, the elders placed their hands on a glowing crystal in the center of the hall. Light spread outward in a ring, touching both Nira and Daniel. The bond was sealed. Later, they walked in silence through the quiet streets of the Valari city. Smooth walkways wound between crystal towers and tall trees with glowing leaves. The wind was soft, and the sky above was turning orange. Nira led him to a house built into the side of a hill. Its walls were silver blue stone, and strange runes glowed gently above the doorway. "This is where you'll stay," she said. "It belonged to my mother. Now it is ours by custom." Daniel followed her inside. The home was quiet, filled with artifacts and scrolls. The spear rested on a carved stand near the center. "You don't have to stay in the same room as me," she added quickly. "There are separate chambers." "Thanks," Daniel said, a little awkwardly. "I didn't expect any of this. I still don't know why the spirit chose me." Nira turned and looked at him closely. "Neither do I. Mira's spear is bound to Valari blood. You are human, and yet it answered your hand. That is not something I can ignore." Daniel sat down near a glowing table and looked at the spear again. "When I touched it," he said, "I saw something. A flash of memory, a woman fighting, and a great fire in the sky. It felt real." Nira's eyes narrowed. "That was my mother's last battle. She died protecting the Vault of Flame, a hidden place beneath our world. No one has seen it since." Daniel leaned forward. "Then maybe the spirit didn't just choose me. Maybe it's trying to show us something." Nira sat across from him, her expression thoughtful for the first time. "I don't believe in accidents," she said. "If the spirit showed you that memory, it means the past is not finished." Daniel gave a small smile. "Then maybe we can figure it out together." She looked at him for a moment longer, then stood up. "You should rest. Tomorrow, I'll take you to the shrine. You need to learn more about the life right and what it means." Daniel watched her leave the room, He leaned back and stared at the ceiling. Just a few days ago, he was fixing old circuits on Earth. Now he was tied to a sacred spear, part of an ancient legacy, and married sort of to a warrior from another world. He closed his eyes. Whatever came next, he wasn't going back. The next morning, the sunlight on Rose Prime broke through the tall crystal trees, casting soft blue and gold colors on the ground. Birds with glowing wings flew quietly between the branches. Daniel woke early in his new home, still feeling like he was inside a dream. He sat at the edge of a stone bed, rubbing his eyes. Across the room, the spear of Myra rested on its stand. It looked silent now, but he remembered the pulse of energy he felt when he first touched it, the whisper, the vision of battle, and Nira's voice declaring they were now bound. He sighed. This wasn't what he came here for, but something inside told him he couldn't turn back. Not yet. Nira was already waiting outside, dressed in traditional dark robes. Her long white hair was tied back, and her expression was serious, as always. "We will visit the Shrine of Bonds today," she said. "It's part of the life rite. You must place your hand on the sacred stone. It will judge your spirit." "Judge?" Daniel raised an eyebrow. "What happens if I fail?" Nira looked at him calmly. "Then the bond ends, and the spear returns to the tomb." Daniel paused. A part of him wondered if that would be better if this path could be closed, but another part didn't want it to end. "I'm ready," he said. They walked together through the quiet city. Many Valari turned to look at them, some with curiosity, others with quiet disapproval. A few even bowed slightly to Nira as they passed, their eyes lingering on Daniel with confusion. He was still an outsider, and now he carried the weapon of one of their greatest heroes. The shrine was carved into the side of a cliff, hidden behind a curtain of glowing vines. Inside, soft lights flickered along the walls. In the center stood a smooth black stone table. Above it floated a single white crystal, spinning slowly in the air. Nira stepped aside. "Place your hand on the stone. Think of your truth, why you're here, and who you are. The crystal will respond." Daniel nodded and approached. His hand trembled slightly as he placed it flat against the stone. For a moment, nothing. Then the crystal above flared with blue light. Daniel's mind filled with visions again. This time, it wasn't just the past, it was his own memories, Earth, his family, the academy. The first time he fixed a machine on his own. His hopes, his fears, his loneliness. Then, slowly, the vision changed. He saw Myra again, the warrior. Woman from the tomb carvings. She stood with the spear in one hand and a child in the other. That child was Nira. Then the image faded. The crystal turned gold. Nira's eyes widened slightly. "Gold. That means the bond is accepted." Daniel stepped back, breathing hard. "That was intense." Nira nodded. "The crystal has judged your spirit. You are now fully bonded under Valari law. This cannot be undone easily." Daniel looked at her. "Is that good or bad?" She didn't smile, but her voice was softer than before. "It means my people must now treat you as my life mate. It means the past has accepted you, even if I have not." Back at the house, Daniel placed the spear on a metal table and began examining it more closely. Nira sat across from him, watching in silence. "There's more to this than old metal and tradition," Daniel said. "The spear is reacting to me. It's alive somehow." He used a small tool to scan it. The readings were strange. It gave off organic energy, but also contained nanostructures, tiny machines older than any known tech. Suddenly, the spear pulsed again, and Daniel saw another flash. This time, he saw fire raining from the sky, ships falling in the distance, and Myra standing before a sealed door glowing with red light. He gasped and stumbled back. "What did you see?" Nira asked quickly. "I think I saw where your mother died." Nira stood. "Describe it." Daniel did. "The sealed door, the red light, the battlefield around it. That is the entrance to the vault of the first flame," she whispered. "It was lost in the final war. Many believed it was a myth. But if the spear showed you this, it means you might be able to find it." Daniel looked at the spear, then at her. "Then maybe we should try." Nira hesitated. Her voice was quiet, My mother gave her life to protect that vault. She believed it held something that could save our world. But no one could open it. What if the spear is the key? Daniel said, and what if it chose me? Not just for tradition, but to finish what she started. Nira's eyes met his. For the first time, she didn't look distant or angry. She looked unsure. Curious, maybe, she said. That night, Daniel sat outside on the stone steps, looking up at the stars. The spear rested beside him. It was quiet again, but he could feel it like a heartbeat under his hand. Nira came to sit beside him. She didn't speak for a while. Finally, she said, "You have changed the path I thought I would walk alone." Daniel gave a small smile. "I didn't mean to, but now that I'm here, maybe we can walk it together." She nodded slowly, and in the soft night air of Relis Prime, two souls, one human. One Valari sat side by side, still strangers in many ways, but drawn together by fate, memory, and a spear that held the key to both the past and the future. 2 days had passed since the spear showed Daniel the vision of the vault of the first flame. Since then, he and Nira had been studying old scrolls, scanning energy maps, and speaking with elders who still remember the last war. Most of them Valari didn't believe the vault was real. Many said it was only a legendary story meant to honor the fallen. But the spear had shown Daniel a memory, a real one, and Nira was beginning to believe it too. "This is it," Daniel said, pointing to a glowing map on the table. "There's a place deep underground, outside the main city. It lines up with what I saw in the vision." Nira leaned over to look. "That area was once a battlefield. It's now sealed by the council. No one has gone there in years." Daniel glanced at the spear lying nearby. "Then we'll be the first." Nira didn't speak for a moment. Then she nodded. "We'll leave at sunrise. But be careful. If someone finds out we're going there, it could cause problems." Later that night, as they prepared supplies, a visitor arrived. He was tall, with silver armor and red markings on his face. His name was Tovar, leader of the Stone Fang clan, one of the oldest and most traditional Valari groups. He stepped into their home without invitation, his sharp eyes landing on Daniel, then on the spear. "So it's true," Tovar said. "The human still holds the weapon of the Guardian." Daniel stood slowly. "Do you have a problem with that?" Tovar ignored him and turned to Nira. "This is an insult to your mother's legacy. The spear should be with your people, not in the hands of an off-worlder." Nira kept her voice calm. "The bond has been accepted. The shrine crystal judged him true." Tovar's voice grew harder. "Tradition can be fooled. Machines can be wrong. But the old laws are not." Daniel stepped forward. "If you came here just to threaten us," Tovar raised a hand. "Not a threat, a warning. The council watches you now. The people whisper. If you continue this path, you may bring dishonor to your house." Nira, without waiting for an answer, he turned and walked out into the night. Daniel looked at Nira. "Who is he, really?" She sighed. "He was once my mother's second in command. He believes the spear should have passed to someone within the clan, someone like him." Daniel folded his arms. "And he won't let this go, will he?" "No," she said. "He will try to take it back, with words or with force, at dawn." Daniel and Nira rode out on a small hovercraft, heading across the dry plains. The wind blew softly as they passed ancient broken towers, rusted weapons buried in the sand, and statues of forgotten heroes. They reached the ruins by midday. The place felt heavy, like the air was holding its breath. Black stones rose from the ground like jagged teeth. The sky above was darker here, as if touched by the past. They walked quietly, following the memory burned into Daniel's mind. At last, they reached a wide circle of cracked earth, surrounded by shattered pillars. In the center was a sealed round door, half covered by dust and vines. A red light pulsed faintly at its core, the same red glow Daniel had seen in the vision. "This is it," he whispered. Nira stepped beside him. "The vault of the first flame." Daniel held the spear and stepped forward. As he approached the door, the vines pulled back slowly, like they recognized him. The red light turned gold. He placed the tip of the spear against the center of the seal. There was a soft hum. Then nothing. He tried again. Still nothing. Nira frowned. Maybe the vault needs more than the spear. Daniel looked around. What if we're missing something? A symbol, a second key. Suddenly, a loud sound echoed behind them. They turned fast. Tovar stood on the rocks above, his armor shining in the sunlight. Behind him were 5 warriors from his clan. I warn you, Tovar called out. You bring shame with every step. Now I will take back the spear, and the bond will be broken. He jumped down, landing with a heavy thud. His warriors followed, spreading out around the vault. Daniel raised the spear. I don't want to fight you, Tovar sneered. You can't. You don't even know how to use that weapon. But before he could strike, Nira stepped in front of Daniel. You will not touch him, she said firmly. Tovar narrowed his eyes. You stand with him now, against your own blood? I stand with what is right, Nira said. He may not be Valari, but the spirit chose him, and I have seen it respond to his spirit. That is more than you can say. Tovar growled and rushed forward. Daniel stepped to the side. He didn't swing the spear, he held it calmly, focusing on the energy inside it. Then, without warning, the spear glowed. Light spread across the vault door. The ground shook. Tovar stopped in his tracks, eyes wide. The seal cracked open slowly, revealing a stairway glowing with orange light. Heat rolled out like a breath from the deep. Everyone froze. Nira turned to Daniel. You open it? He nodded slowly. The vault, it recognized us together. Tovar and his warriors stepped back. Silent. Daniel held the spear tighter. We're going in, he said. Nira looked down the stairs. The pass waits below, and together they stepped into the shadows of the vault, leaving behind the noise of doubt, walking toward the flame of truth. The air grew warmer as Daniel and Nira descended the glowing stairway into the depths of the vault. The walls shimmered with strange symbols that pulsed softly, lighting their path like a living circuit. Tovar and his warriors followed silently. Behind, their faces tense but curious. At the bottom, the corridor opened into a vast chamber. In the center stood a large machine, shaped like a glowing tree made of crystal and metal. It hummed with energy, its branches reaching upward like they wanted to touch the sky. Nira stepped forward, her eyes wide. This is the core of the first flame, she said softly. My mother protected this with her life. Daniel approached carefully, holding the spear. It looks like some kind of energy reactor. Yes, Nira replied. It controls the power of the planet's atmosphere. Long ago, the first flame civilization created it to keep our world alive. Daniel touched the glowing panel on the machine. The energy inside the core reacted, flowing through pipes and lights that lit up the chamber. But it's been offline for centuries, Daniel said. Without it, the planet's air is failing. Nira nodded. If the core could be restarted, it might save the Valari people. Tovar stepped closer, arms crossed. And you think a human can do this? After all you've seen, you still trust him? Nira's eyes met his. I trust what I have seen. The spirit chose Daniel, and he has helped us already. Daniel studied the core. I want to try restarting it, but I'll need time to understand the controls. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A deep rumble echoed through the vault. Daniel and Nira exchanged worried looks. What is that? Daniel asked. Tovar's face grew dark. The vault's defense systems are activating. They see us as intruders. Before anyone could move, walls along the chamber shifted and slid open. Hidden panels revealed long-forgotten weapons turrets and energy fields that began to hum to life. Nira raised her hand. The vault is testing us. Daniel gripped the spear. We need to prove we mean no harm. The turrets aimed at them. Daniel quickly moved forward and held the spear out. A bright light burst from the spear's tip, forming a shield round the group. The turrets fired, but their beams bounced harmlessly off the shield. Tovar's warriors stared in amazement. Nira said, the spear's energy can control the vault's defenses. It responds to your will, Daniel. Daniel nodded. I need to focus. He closed his eyes, reaching out with his mind. The spear pulsed again, sensing with the energy of the core. The weapons powered down. A voice echoed in the chamber, soft, ancient tones speaking in the Valari language. It is the rightful heir and the chosen spirit. The first flame awakes. The core glowed brighter. Daniel opened his eyes. I think the vault recognizes us as protectors. Nira smiled for the first time since the journey began. Together, they approached the core's control panel. Daniel's hands worked quickly, touching buttons and scanning readings. The core responded, releasing energy slowly into the planet's atmosphere. Outside, the skies began to clear. The air felt fresher. Nira looked at Daniel. You have done what no one else could. Tovar stepped forward, his face thoughtful. You are no longer just a human, he said quietly. You are part of our legacy. Daniel looked at the spear in his hand. This is more than a weapon, he said. It is a symbol of hope. As they left the vault, the tension between them eased. Nira turned to Daniel. Your bond with the spear and with me, it has changed many minds. Daniel smiled. And it has changed me. The sun rose higher over Relus Prime, casting warm light over the land. Together, Daniel and Nira walked back to the city, partners not only by tradition, but by trust and shared purpose. Days passed since Daniel and Nira activated the core of the first flame deep within the vault. The air on Relus Prime was changing. The blue mist was lifting, replaced by clearer skies and fresher winds. The Valari people noticed the difference, and hope began to grow. Daniel stayed close to Nira, learning more about the Valari ways and their history each day. Their bond grew stronger not just by tradition, but by understanding and respect. Yet, the peace was not complete. One morning, a messenger arrived at Nira's home. He was breathless and serious. Lady Nira, he said, bowing slightly. Tovar and his clan have called for a gathering at the council. They challenge your right to lead with the human by your side. Nira's face tightened. It seems the old wounds are not healed. Daniel stood beside her. What will happen at this gathering? The council will decide if the bond between you and me is valid, she said. If they reject it, we could lose everything. Daniel looked at her. We must be ready. The council hall filled quickly with Valari elders, warriors, and citizens. Whispers echoed as Daniel entered alongside Nira. Many eyes studied him, some curious, some doubtful. Tovar stood at the front, his red-marked face stern. You, a human, claim the sacred spear, he said. Loudly, you have disturbed the honor of the Valari people. This bond is a mistake. A human cannot carry the strength of the first guardian. Nira stepped forward. The spirit chose Daniel. It accepted him. Together, we reactivated the core that sustains our world. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Tovar's voice rose. This is tradition. It is not changed by fear or convenience. To accept a human is to break the sacred laws. Daniel took a breath. I am not Valari. I do not share your history or your blood. But I came here to help, to protect this world and Nira's people. The spear responded to me because I carry the same spirit of courage and honor that her mother did. He held up the spear. This is more than metal. It is a symbol of hope, unity, and strength. If we stand divided, we fall. If we stand together, we survive. Silence filled the hall. Then, an elder raised his hand. Let the crystal of the shrine judge again. Daniel and Nira moved to the shrine, the same place where Daniel had been first tested. He placed his hand on the sacred stone once more. The crystal glowed. This time, it shone bright white, a sign of truth and unity. The council bowed their heads. Tovar lowered his gaze, his anger fading into reluctant respect. Nira smiled softly. Our bond is real. Our future is shared. The days that followed brought change. Daniel was invited to walk among the Valari people not as an outsider, but as a protector and leader. Together, he and Nira worked to repair old systems, teach new skills, and bring hope to their world. One evening, as they walked beneath the glowing trees, Daniel looked at Nira. Do you regret the life right? He asked. She paused. At first, yes. It felt like a chain. But now, it feels like a bridge. Daniel smiled. I never thought I'd find a new home so far from Earth. Nira's eyes softened. And I never thought I would trust a human so much. They stopped beneath the stars. In that moment, their bond was no longer just a tradition. It was a true partnership. The city of Relus Prime was alive with celebration. The skies were clear and bright, and the streets were filled with Valari citizens rejoicing. The air smelled fresh. Carrying hope and new beginnings, Daniel and Nira stood on the balcony of the council hall, looking out over the city. The spear of Myra rested safely in a display case nearby, a symbol of their journey. In the future they had forged together, it's hard to believe how much has changed. Daniel said quietly, "Just weeks ago, I was a stranger here. Now, I feel part of this world." Nira smiled softly. "You pulled the spear from my mother's grave. That started it all. But what came after was more important than tradition." Daniel looked at her. "I never wanted to be part of a rite I didn't understand. But now, I see it differently." She nodded. "The life rite was meant to bind us by law, but we have made it more, something real." They stood in silence, the stars beginning to twinkle above. That evening, the council gathered to honor Daniel and Nira. Elders spoke of courage, unity, and the new path for the Valari people. Daniel listened, humbled by their acceptance. Tovar, once his strongest opponent, stood among the crowd. He approached slowly and extended his hand. "Daniel," he said gruffly, "you have earned your place. The spirit chose well." Daniel shook his hand firmly. "Thank you, Tovar. Your courage in opposing me only made me stronger." The hall filled with applause. Days later, Daniel and Nira visited the grave of the first guardian once more. The tomb was peaceful, bathed in soft sunlight. Nira knelt beside the stone platform where the spear had rested. Myra was more than a warrior, she said quietly. She was a symbol of hope and protection. Now, her legacy lives on. Daniel placed his hand gently on the stone, "And so does the future." Nira looked up at him. "I was angry at first, angry that a human would be part of this. But you've shown me strength beyond bloodlines." Daniel smiled. "And you've shown me honor beyond words." Their days became filled with work and learning. Daniel helped repair old machines and teach new ideas. Nira shared stories of her people's history and culture. Together, they led efforts to restore the planet's environment. Using the power of the core of the first flame, the Valari began to heal, their world brightening with every passing day. One night, as they sat beneath the glowing trees, Daniel turned to Nira. "Do you think the spirit chose me for a reason?" She looked at the sky, thoughtful. "Yes, not just because of who you are, but because of what you could become." Daniel reached out and took her hand. "We were bound by tradition," he said. "But what we have now is more. It's trust, friendship, and something deeper." Nira squeezed his hand gently. More than a bond. Years later, stories of Daniel and Nira's partnership spread across the stars. Humans and Valari worked side by side, learning from each other and facing challenges together. The spear remained a symbol not of old laws, but of hope, courage, and unity between two very different worlds. And Daniel, the human who pulled the sacred spear from a grave, became a legend not just as a warrior or leader, but as a bridge between worlds.